After weeks of reflection, South Africa's seasoned public watchdog, Bizong, finally broke her silence. What she revealed sent shockwaves across the nation. In a live televised address broadcast nationwide, Bizong spoke openly, without hedging her words or showing fear. Her statement was incendiary: he must be arrested. An international warrant has been issued for Sir Ramaphosa. That single declaration ignited panic. Political circles were shaken, social media erupted in outrage, and the African National Congress, ANC, spiraled into crisis mode. Never before in South Africa's democratic era had a sitting president been directly associated with an international criminal warrant. According to Bizong, the order originated from a coalition of global agencies probing financial crimes on an international scale. She alleged that Ramaphosa's name surfaced in connection with illicit dealings involving offshore bank accounts, profits from state capture, and hidden property investments abroad. International watchdogs reportedly shuddered at the evidence uncovered. This was no hearsay or idle gossip, she stressed. It was the result of painstaking investigations by recognized authorities tracing financial trails that, she claimed, led straight into the president's inner circle. Even more damning, Bizong asserted that the South African government had long been aware of the warrant but had deliberately concealed it to protect Ramaphosa's declining reputation and preserve political stability. Her words carried no ambiguity. She was fierce, direct, and unapologetically blunt. She accused the president of betraying public trust, manipulating state institutions, and using government machinery to hide his tracks. For the first time in South Africa's democratic history, the nation faced the possibility of its sitting head of state being pursued not only by domestic courts but also by powerful international bodies armed with sufficient evidence to initiate enforcement. This, Bizong insisted, was no act of political theater, it was a genuine legal and political crisis with potentially catastrophic consequences. The existence of the international warrant underscored that foreign regulators and global institutions believed they had a solid case against Ramaphosa. Intelligence reports suggested that European Union financial watchdogs and a special task force established under the United Nations Convention Against Corruption had worked together to build a comprehensive evidence file. The charges, money laundering, abuse of power, and obstruction of justice, were grave. If proven true, they would not only imperil his presidency but could also threaten his personal freedom. Investigators had allegedly traced millions of dollars funneled through Ramaphosa's business empire, some of which reportedly linked back to his controversial cattle farming operations, long a blemish on his public image. Offshore accounts, shell companies, and covert property deals allegedly formed part of the incriminating paper trail. Although no official reports have been released to the public, the fact that Bizong, once South Africa's most respected anti-corruption watchdog, had chosen to step forward with these revelations gave the allegations an undeniable weight. Inside the ANC, insiders described the atmosphere as chaotic, marked by frantic meetings, desperate phone calls, and whispered conversations about succession. Should Ramaphosa be ousted, the party risked fracturing into bitter rival factions vying for control. Already, rival groups were said to be maneuvering behind the scenes, waiting for the anticipated power vacuum. Once a symbol of party discipline and unity, Luthuli House now stood paralyzed by divisions and fear. The ANC's official response only fueled suspicions further. Party representatives dismissed Bizong's assertions as politically motivated but conspicuously avoided denying the existence of the warrant. That omission did not go unnoticed by the public. South Africans began asking, if there is nothing to conceal, why not release evidence disproving the claims? Meanwhile, opposition parties seized the moment. Both the Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF, and the Democratic Alliance, DA, demanded Ramaphosa's immediate resignation. Parliament echoed with calls for accountability, with lawmakers threatening impeachment if the president refused to step down voluntarily. Once thought unassailable, the ANC now found itself trapped, under siege from external opposition and crumbling internally. Perhaps the most alarming element of this unfolding drama was the president's silence. Up until the time of broadcast, Ramaphosa had not addressed the nation, held a press briefing, or issued a legal rebuttal of the warrant. For a leader who built his image on transparency, consultation, and moral authority, his disappearance was both shocking and indefensible. Speculation about his absence ran rampant. Some believed he was conferring with legal teams to prepare a defense. Others suggested he was reaching out to international allies, pleading for diplomatic intervention or protection. A few even whispered that he might attempt to flee, though such rumors remained unconfirmed. Regardless of the truth, his silence, whether calculated or born of fear, spoke volumes. With global attention fixed on South Africa, the country's democratic integrity faced its most serious test yet. Would the nation uphold the rule of law, even if it meant holding its highest office accountable? Or would it revert to the old pattern of shielding the powerful at the expense of justice, all in the name of political stability? International media had already seized on the story, framing it as a potential turning point for Africa's oldest democracy. Reports hinted that the African Union might convene an emergency summit, with corruption at the top of the agenda. Analysts began to wonder if this moment could mark a continental shift, an era where leaders were no longer immune from accountability. The stakes could not be higher. If the warrant is honored, it might set a precedent reverberating across Africa, sending a chilling warning to corrupt leaders everywhere. Conversely, if Ramaphosa uses South Africa's diplomatic leverage to neutralize the threat, it could reinforce the perception that international justice is selectively applied, convenient only to the interests of dominant powers. This was no mere scandal, it was a defining chapter in South Africa's democratic journey. The principle of the rule of law, if it is to carry any meaning, must be applied without bias. No individual, not even the president, should stand above it. Ramaphosa now found himself at the heart of a storm, one that could destroy not only his political career but also reshape the future of the nation's governance. For the citizens of South Africa, the message was unmistakable. Democracy is not a passive system, it demands courage, vigilance, and a collective will to hold leaders accountable. Silence, in such moments, amounts to complicity. If South Africans hope to safeguard their democracy, they must speak out, act decisively, and demand the truth. As the storm grows darker and the winds of crisis rage, the ultimate question remains, will South Africa rise to the challenge of confronting corruption at the highest level, or will this moment, too, be buried like so many others, an unrecorded chapter of betrayal in its history?